Hi guys, good evening, welcome, Akwaba, Aloha, Sanu, Kedu, Bonjour, all of the above. You are welcome to the 3D show with myself, Desire. Guys, I have to really apologize. We've been having technical difficulties in the studio, hence why we're starting a bit late today. So please forgive me. I totally take all the blame. You know, it takes a while to look this good, you know. I don't just slap it on and just go, you know. I have to take my time, you know. Perfection takes time, yes. But thank you so much for sticking around and being patient with us. It's so good to see you. I hope you're doing great, just as I am. Welcome to the show once again. You are tuned into the 3D show. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about living with lupus. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, what's lupus? I mean, first COVID, now lupus. What's this girl coming to talk to us about? You know, I have a very wonderful lady joining us all the way from America. She's woken up very early just to be with us today, so you know the topic is serious. She's actually a woman, I totally admire her. She's so pretty, she's just so smart, intelligent. I'm actually going to give her the chance to introduce herself because, again, as much as I try, I can never do my guests justice. Honestly, I just can't, so I've given it up. So I will definitely give her the chance to tell us a bit more about herself. But, you know, moving forward, we will be talking about lupus. We're going to be diving into what lupus is. Is it a drink? Is it a disease? Is it, you know, but if you've been watching from the beginning of the show, I think you will have an idea from the video that we played. So do stay with us because the discussion is going to be very insightful and very educational, and you know, I hope somebody takes something away from it. And you know, if it's something that does affect you, please, you know, look into it further, and we will be giving all the helplines and, you know, all the further information as the show goes on. And of course, if you have any questions, please do comment down below. If you have any input on the topic as well, please comment down below as the discussion is going on. Just before we, you know, delve into the conversation with our guest today, I just want to give acknowledgement to our sponsors for the show. First of all, I want to give a big thank you and a big acknowledgement to World Media Productions. Listen, if you want to shoot a video, if you've got a wedding coming up, a funeral, outdooring, christening, engagement, if you want to do a YouTube video, basically, or if you're vain like me and you just want someone to just take videos of you because, you know, why not? Please contact World Media Productions. Their number is 0744 888 9490. And of course, if you would like to sponsor the show, please do, because I don't know how many times I have to tell you I'm running out of clothes. I need sponsors for the show. If you would like to sponsor this amazing show, please do call us on 079 394 33028, and then also you can also ring us on 07872348490. And also, listen, if you are out there and you're thinking of, you know, getting into security, please contact ITS training for your SIA card. You can do this in just 4 days, or you can do your CSCS card in just 1 day. Please contact them on 079 046 86944. Guys, so listen, as you can tell, that was a mouthful. Listen, I need a glass of water just to, you know, lubricate the throat before we get the conversation started. So stay put. We're just going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we will delve straight into the topic for tonight. We're talking about living with lupus with a great woman. So please stay put. We'll be right back.
Oh, Betty Bobole Bobo. Bobole Bo. Every Baban will be shin tampe. I salute, God bless you. Me did the evangelist I can. TV back open and me entity a pet TV. Hi. Yada masinya ku pocheram. Sa wan hwe hopa on brother. Oh Betty Bole Bobo. Keep watching. Thank you.
Hi Hi guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, you're joining the 3D show with myself, Desire, and today we're going to be talking about living with lupus. What is lupus? How do you get it? Is it hereditary? Is it genetic? Can you just contact it? What is it? We're going to be discussing everything there is to do with it. And joining us in the studio all the way from America, it's a woman that I greatly admire. Her name, she has such a beautiful name, and I actually want to ask her the meaning of it. Her name is Professor Nala. It's actually Judith Mills, but I prefer Professor Nala. So Professor, welcome to the 3D show.
Welcome, Desire. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you look beautiful as ever.
That we're having this conversation today because it's quite dear to me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you look lovely in your purple. I tried to get purple, but I just don't have, so forgive me. Next time I will definitely wear purple. So,
no
Professor,
problem. I'll wear the purple for both of us.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. The name Nala, what does it mean? And tell us, you're a professor at such a young age. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my full name is Judith Nala Mills, Nala for short, because a lot of people have a hard time pronouncing it.
Right.
It's a tribal name. I'm from the Gan tribe and Langtajangwe, and that's the names that they give to the first daughters.
Okay.
Nala, it means queen, and the first daughter.
Very befitting, I must say. Very befitting. So we could chit chat for the longest because you just have great banter, but we're talking, like you said before, we're talking about something very serious and very dear to you, and right. I would like us to just go straight into it. The topic today is living with lupus. First of all, just take us through what is lupus, and how do you even get it? Where did it come from? And just tell us your story.
Well, I was diagnosed when I was the age of 16. I believe the video mentioned that it was a time, that I was quite an active teenager, out and about. And all of a sudden I was, constantly tired. And the doctors would, say, because, I'm such an active teenager, I was dancing, running track. And they said, well, I have to take a break a bit. I did exactly that, but the symptoms were still quite, ongoing, the anemia, the fatigue. And they would just say, well, I need some iron pills. And, I just had a dedicated mom at the time who she listened to me every single time that, I complained that I was not feeling good. But they always said, she's running track, she's doing that. Maybe she needs to give some of these things a break. And that didn't help the situation. It got to a point where going up the stairs in school was quite difficult for me. And I'm like, I'm an athlete, what's going on with me? It was quite a lonely journey because they weren't finding out what was happening with me. And I felt like I was quite alone. Nobody understood. And, the comments from my peers, oh, she's just being lazy, there's nothing wrong with her, because you look like a picture of health.
Right.
And that's the tricky thing about lupus. It's an autoimmune disease where your own body attacks healthy cells and tissues, causing inflammation, and it can attack major organs. Your skin is one of your biggest organ. If you look at a singer like Seal, whom has the facial scars, and a lot of people are like, well, what happened to him? Did he get attacked in a fire? What happened to his face? That is what we call discoid lupus, where it attacks mostly your skin. Michael Jackson also had it, where it attacked his skin and caused a vitiligo.
Okay.
And with me, I got SLE, where it attacked my kidneys. When I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a quite debilitating disease. And if, the main reason for awareness is to educate people so they can learn the signs and symptoms. For me, it was the constant fatigue, the anemia, hair loss, loss of appetite. And those are my symptoms. For others, it could be chest pains. It's different for everyone. It doesn't affect everyone the same. No two people have the same symptoms. The only thing they might have in common would be the joint pain and the fatigue. But it affects everyone differently.
So how did you get it? Is it something that was passed down? Is it something your body just developed? How do you get it?
So lupus can onset anytime during the childbearing ages for women. And it happened around my teenage years. At first, when the doctors asked, is this something that is in the family? The answer was no, because we didn't know that it ran in the family. It's years later, because I'm quite inquisitive, I kept asking questions and trying to find out. And later on, I found out that it ran on my father's side of the family, because I also have, met a niece who also suffers from lupus. And I was told there were other family members in the UK that had lupus. But you don't have to be born with it. And it's not something that is contagious that you can, touch someone and give it to them. It's actually your own body at war with itself. Our bodies are made uniquely where if there's a virus or an infection coming in, right away our helper T and our fighter cells come in to attack. But in the case of lupus, there's nothing happening. Your own body doesn't recognize its own healthy cells and tissues, and it thinks it's foreign and it starts attacking.
Wow. So I mean, it's very interesting from your teenage years till now. Is it something that, you mentioned it affected your kidneys and then your joints as well were having chest pains. So these kind of symptoms, is it something that's ongoing until you find something to ease it, or is it something that flares up and then goes?
Yes, it definitely. It's a chronic condition. You do have your good days and your bad days. Every day is not the same, and sometimes you're in a flare. And a lot of times, stress is one of the biggest triggers for the flare. As far as the diagnosing lupus, it's not easy as well, because it mimics so many other illnesses. So we call lupus the great imitator because of that, because it can mimic so many other things. So it's very difficult to diagnose. It took about 3 years for me. And when you hear other patients tell their stories, sometimes years, and they just don't know, because it's just so difficult to diagnose.
So let's just say, we're talking about this and somebody's watching, and they're everything you're saying is resonating with them, like, oh my God, chest pains, oh my gosh, all of this. Is the test and the diagnosis as easy as going to the doctors and saying, please test me for lupus? Is there a specific test for lupus, or is it something that, I guess, over your complaints, they just arrive at? How do they diagnose it?
So there's just the ANA test, and then there's set rate. And those are the type of routine blood work. It's routine blood work that will determine whether you have lupus. And then for most, the reason why we associate ourselves with the butterfly, as you can see here, is because we get this facial rash in the shape of a butterfly. I mentioned Michael Jackson earlier. If you see pictures of him, you'll see that he has this red rash across his face. That's what we call the butterfly rash, and that's what helps a lot of doctors, such as rheumatologists or dermatologists, diagnose lupus, because sometimes it's not the rheumatologist that will diagnose it. It will be your dermatologist, because again, I mentioned it affects major organs, and your skin is your biggest organ. So, and you'll see that rash. But with me, I didn't have any signs of those things. It was just fatigue and, the constant, my joint hurt. And, again, it was associated with the fact that I was a track runner. So that was expected. So as I mentioned earlier, the symptoms is different for everyone. So it's with the rashes, that's how it's like the marker to say, oh, this person is suffering from lupus.
Right. Right. Okay. So.
But there's no one specific test to test for lupus.
Okay. So, guys, if you're joining us, you're tuned into the 3D show with myself, Desire. We're actually right now talking all the way, in America with Professor Nala, aka Judith Mills. She's a survivor. She's living with lupus, and she's sharing her story with us. She's telling us, the symptoms and how I guess you can see if you have lupus. And she's spoken about the butterfly rash on your face. I didn't even know that the singer Seal and Michael Jackson, like, they both had lupus. I mean, this is interesting stuff. So, Professor, I mean, your teenage years, I presume that's about 6 years ago, because you still look very, very young.
Oh, stop it.
You do. So how has it been? But before you tell us how it's been for you, can you tell us if this is something that is quite prevalent in the Black community, or is it prevalent in women? Because one of my closest friends actually has lupus. And it took her a while to find out that she does have it. And then also the famous singer Toni Braxton has it as well. Right. So is it like what are the statistics, and what are the statistics in with lupus?
Statistically, women of African descent are high on the list, and followed by Native Americans and Asians as well. So. And it tends to affect more women than it does men. But children can also get lupus.
Why is that? Do we know why? Has there been studies into that?
Listen, one, researchers still don't know what really causes lupus. They have mentioned that stress, environmental causes, trauma can trigger someone to have lupus, but still we don't know what exactly causes lupus at all.
Wow. Yeah, this is very, like, when you were mentioning women and Black Africans, I'm just like, why us? Why is it always us? Like, it's just everything.
Yes,
is
people
just
of color. People of color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it will be interesting to find out if it's maybe our diet, or if it's something.
Oh, diet definitely plays a role. In my journey of healing, I don't like to say that I'm living with lupus. I like to say the word that I'm thriving with lupus, because, having a medical background myself, and, going the naturopathic route, just researching how food can, be a bit of a trigger for a person who has lupus. I learned over the years that my diet was key in thriving with this disease. So I had to basically change my whole eating habits, and being of Ghanaian descent, I had to learn to cook differently, and limit certain foods so that I can be well. And that topic of conversation sometimes gets
very
a lot
controversial.
Of people, not it doesn't make them too happy, because our main diet is fermented corn, and we just like rich things, and they're like, you want me to stop eating what? But that's the one thing that I found over the years when I'm talking to patients in Ghana, and I tell them, hey, I don't do dairy. I don't do the kenke. If I do, it can't be sour because of the yeast that's in it. They're looking at me like, are you crazy? But then they just go ahead for like a month or two and abstain from those things. And then they call me back and they say, oh my God, I'm feeling a little better. I don't feel as miserable as, I usually feel. So diet really plays a role in treating lupus.
Wow. So you've touched on it just a little bit, but I just want to know, I mean, apart from adjusting your diet, how has it impacted your life, and how is your day-to-day life living with this? Is it something that still impact your everyday life? Like you mentioned, going up the stairs was a struggle. Is it still a
Right.
struggle, or have you found ways to manage it?
Well, years of treatment and just learning my triggers, and I just learned to, you know, basically schedule myself. I have good days and I have bad days, but majority of times, in the autoimmune community, world, we have something called the spoon theory, where it's like, you wake up with like 5 spoons, and by the end of the day, all your spoons is like you've used all of them, and that's the energy that is kind of associated with the things that you can get done in a day.
Right.
On a good day, I can get a lot done, but then it would take me like 2 or 3 days to recover from just having such a day of so much activities. So you cancel a lot of appointments. That can affect your friends, your relationship, even with family, because sometimes they just don't understand, what exactly is going on with you, because when they look at you, they see health,
Yeah.
and when you're constantly saying, well, you don't feel good, that can definitely be a bit of a uncomfortable situation where you're constantly having to explain yourself to people.
Yeah.
So, over time, you will lose friends. You will have issues with family members, and, that's just the journey. And you just have to learn not to let things like that bother you.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So, I mean, as we've already established, this is something that tends to affect women a lot. Is it affecting us in a way where we can't have kids, or can we have kids? How does lupus play a role in that journey?
Oh, well, lupus patients can have children, but it will be what you call like a pregnancy that has to be watched carefully, because people like Tony has, have kids, and there's other lupus patients that also have children. So it's just going to be kind of like a very careful pregnancy, where you might just be on bed rest, or depending on the type of lupus you have and what it has affected over the years. Okay. So pregnancy in lupus is very possible, and there's only like a 5% chance that your child will get lupus as well.
Okay. Wow. So there is a chance that it could be passed down. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, like you said, you're really thriving with it, because it's very disheartening to hear all the symptoms, and it just sounds very painful. So hats off to all the survivors and all the thriving lupus people. What's the correct term for it?
Well, we call ourselves loopies or spoonies, and we have so many,
like
butterflies.
I like spoonies. I like spoonies.
Yeah,
so, you mentioned obviously it does affect your social life and, relationship and all of that. How do you, is it something that, I don't know how to say it. Like, how do you explain this to your loved ones and to your circle? Because you mentioned when you found out, it was a very lonely experience, but thank God we've got people like yourselves shedding light on what it is, and just bringing awareness to it. If there's somebody out there that has just found out that I have this disease, what would you say to them? How would you advise them to deal with it and to just make peace with it and just live with it and thrive with it?
I mean, I would definitely tell them it's not the end of the world. Right. It's not a death sentence. You can definitely live a healthy life with this illness, and educate yourself. At times, some people, if they feel once they begin given a diagnosis, educating themselves become an issue, because they don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because they just can't bear to hear the information of what could. And
Yeah.
so with me, again, I'm always inquisitive. you know I was diagnosed, like, in 1999. And like, the internet was just, something that was just coming up, and
Yeah.
I just used it to the best of my ability, wanting to know what was happening with me.
Right.
And at times you can go into remission, but you have to constantly educate yourself,
Yeah.
because it's a tricky illness to live with. One minute it could be your kidney, the next minute it could be your lungs. It's so many things can happen
Yeah.
with this illness.
Wow. So I take it there's no cure for it. Then you can just maintain.
Right. Currently, lupus does not have a cure. It's just treatments, cocktails of drugs and chemotherapy, depending on how aggressive lupus can
Chemotherapy.
be. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Must be like a very severe case of lupus.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have chemotherapy-based drugs for lupus patients. It's not like the same as when you have cancer. So I don't want people to get those two confused. Right. Selena Gomez spoke about her experience as well, because she needed a kidney transplant.
Right.
I believe, she had a kidney transplant not too long ago. And she also went through aggressive chemotherapy to try to save the kidney. I've gone through chemotherapy as well, but these are, chemotherapy-based drugs just for lupus patients. It's not the same as the ones that cancer patients take.
Yeah. Wow. This is amazing. So I read an article about you, and you were talking about how frustrating it is to live with a disability that's not, like, obviously visible. Would you would you classify living with lupus a disability?
Oh, it's definitely a disability, because this is the ongoing fight in the lupus community, because at times even just being classified disabled becomes a quite difficult journey, and it's not easy. It's very debilitating. It's like sometimes you wake up and you just can't get out of bed, and you have to struggle to get out of bed, and try to go on about your day. So it's definitely it limits your joints, your mobility, and there's so many things that happen to lupus patients on a day-to-day basis.
So I mean, have the Spoonies gone far in the fight to, I guess, making their stand to get lupus patients to be recognized as
it's still
disabled?
an ongoing fight. A lot of patients who, because this affects your ability to work for a lot of people. And again, no two cases the same. You might meet a lupus patient that is in more of a severe state than when you meet a person like me. And with them, it's like, I can't work. I need to file for disability. And that becomes a whole tug of war, because again, you look like a picture of health.
Exactly.
And they're still having a hard time classifying lupus as a disease that is quite, disabling enough to be considered a disability.
Yeah, because to be honest, it's not something that you hear a lot about. Lupus. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's very, very important the work that you're doing.
5 million people worldwide. In America, 1.5 million Americans, and it's still not classified in that term.
Why do you think that disability is? Is that because, like you said, it's not something that you can just easily recognize
it's invisible.
On somebody. That's a shame,
it's an invisible illness. So it's hard for people to you kind of make that understanding of, you know, it being, you know, being disabled.
Wow. Okay, so I mean, kudos to you for the wonderful work that you're doing in raising awareness. Can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, the work that you're doing with lupus and how you're creating awareness out there and everything?
Oh, well, you know, it started in college.
Right.
I was, you know, kind of labeled antisocial, and because I wasn't getting involved as much, and it was frustrating. At that time, I remember one of my girlfriends from high school who knew me, and she would like kind of tell people, no, she's really not feeling good, in a way to defend me. So I just took it upon myself to raise awareness by, at the time I was a part of a leadership group in college at Montclair State. So I just got everybody involved. I got the whole, you know, student or government organizations to start washing cars to raise money for lupus awareness, and we did a lupus walk, and that's how it really started, because I was like, okay, I'm tired of explaining myself to people. It was frustrating, even sometimes to my my professors, and I was like, you know what, this is the best way to let everybody know this is the reason why I may seem antisocial, but I'm not. It's because I'm dealing with a chronic illness that, you know, causes me to have limited mobility.
Wow, kudos to you, because not many people would find the courage to share that with
it was needed to the point where in the lupus community, the autoimmune community in general, like it's very difficult sometimes getting insurance or paying for medications, just the resources that are out there for people like us that we may not know about. And that's when I, you know, started a nonprofit just for those purposes, so that I can basically lead those people to all the resources that are out here to help us live a better and healthier life, you know. Tell
us a little
that's
bit more.
That's what my advocacy is mostly about. And also, you know, early diagnosis, because sometimes by the time the diagnosis is given, your kidneys are already involved, or your lungs, or any other major organs. And I think that's the case that happened with Nick Cannon. That's how he got diagnosed with lupus, when his kidneys had gotten involved
rapper
already.
Nick Cannon?
Yes.
Wow. So this thing is a bit more popular than I guess we thought.
Just recently, I believe Consequence, Dexter Mills is his like actual, you know, name, also got diagnosed with lupus, and I believe it affected his kidneys as well.
Oh wow.
And we've had a famous, I believe, DJ. He was in the music industry. He went by DJ Dilla, and he had lupus, and it affected his kidneys, and that's what took him out as well.
I'm hearing kidney. Is that kind of like the most popular organ that it tends to attack?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And do we know why? Is there a link? Or
I wish I had an answer. I wish, you know, there was an answer for that, but you know, for some reason it loves to attack the kidney.
The kidney. Wow. This is very it's very worrying.
Yeah,
very,
you know,
very worrying,
you know, I feel like I'm one of the miracle cases.
Right.
And I like my doctors are constantly baffled by everything that I have gone through, especially being stage 3 kidney nephritis, and I didn't need any transplant or dialysis. So you know, I'm a walking miracle, and I'm very appreciative and grateful about that.
Wow.
You know,
we thank God for your life. We absolutely thank God for your life. You mentioned that you have a non-profit. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the name of it, if people want to contact you guys and get involved, maybe they want to reach you because they found out they've got lupus, or they think somebody they know might have it, or maybe they just want to volunteer or donate, just tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, definitely. It's Butterfly Walkers Inc. In the US, and then Alliance of Hope for Lupus in Ghana.
Okay.
And so, we're, on Instagram, Facebook. So you can easily reach out if you're having any issues and, things of that nature, education that needs to be done. And sometimes just someone to talk to, because sometimes people who are newly diagnosed need to hear from someone who's been living with it for a while, so that they can know that there's hope, and I played a role of being a messenger of hope, a beacon of hope. Absolutely. That you can get through this. You can overcome some of the challenges that living with lupus can bring.
Wow, absolutely. Guys, you can overcome this. That is the message for today. If you're just joining us, you're tuned into the 3D show with myself, Desire, and our amazing butterfly, Professor Nala, aka Judith.
Look at you.
Do you know what? You
are refusing to know my full name. You just love Mama.
Judith Mills. I'm so stuck on Professor Nala that I just refuse to acknowledge the Judith Mills. Like, that's so common. Right. I like Nala. So it means a queen, and also if you're the firstborn daughter. And indeed, she's truly a queen. She's taken a mantle for the fight against lupus, and she's doing an amazing job out there. She's joined us, educating us on what lupus is, how you can identify if you may have it, and the steps to getting it officially diagnosed. So I just want to acknowledge everybody that's tuned in right now. I've got Nana Kwame, Sowa Koko, my auntie Sarah, I've got Mami Techiwa. We actually have quite a lot more people tuned in, so I just want to acknowledge you guys and thank you so much for tuning in. Professor Nala, what does the future look like for the Spoonies, or what are your hopes for the Spoonies?
I mean, all of our hopes are a cure for this illness, and then if we haven't gotten there yet, but we're trying as scientists, because I'm a scientist myself. I'm just not in the lab, I'm in a classroom. But for better treatments, because the treatment itself sometimes is worse just as the disease, because there's a lot of side effects from some of these medications that are out here treating lupus. One of them is the steroids, and if you looked at the video, you realize that I'm a bit more puffier, and that's from the steroids. Those are the side effects. It makes you a bit bloated, taking those drugs to treat.
Can you tell us a bit about the video? Was that a tablet that they had discovered?
Yeah, so there's new medication to treat lupus nephritis. That's when lupus attacks your kidneys. So it's been years coming. It took over 50 years just to come up with a drug for lupus, which was Benlysta. And now there's new medications that are coming out, because all they've been doing for years is just putting patients on steroids. Can
I just ask this? And I don't mean to be controversial, and of course, excuse my ignorance. How is it taking 50 years to come up with one drug for something as severe as this, but it's taking them less than 18 months for COVID?
Well, when it comes to COVID, they remember we've already had infections such as COVID already that had been worked on over the years. So that would be the politically correct thing to say as a scientist myself. But as far as lupus is concerned, again, it's quite a tricky illness, you know, and they still haven't figured it out yet. So that is the reason why it's taken so long. And they're still working on things. There's still breakthroughs happening. That's why we do, you know, fundraisers and, you know, walks and things, you know, so that, you know, we can put more money into research, because research is not easy. And that's one of the reasons I'm not in the lab right now, because I'm kind of a liability, you know, being in the lab. Because of, you know, the constant years of treatment, I've lost a lot of strength in, you know, in my arm, and you know, the dexterity is no longer there like it used to. So it's like in a lab, just to, you know, conduct research, you know, it's several steps. If you mess up, you're going to cause the lab a lot of money. And so those are the reasons why, you know, I'm in the classroom more than I am in the lab. So it's going to take some time. But again, we're learning to understand some of the things of the disease, such as diet playing a role. In the beginning, they didn't think diet played a role. And, you know, ongoing, you know, I'm hoping for more discoveries and that we will find a cure and we'll have better medications that won't cause major side effects.
Wow. And you know, last but not least, what would be your advice for people that, for like the support system for the survivors, or for the butterflies, the people around? How do you, what would you say to them to deal with, you know, someone that's thriving with lupus? What would be your advice?
I would say learning empathy, not sympathy. Those are two different things. You know, people who deal with chronic illnesses do not want sympathy, but they want empathy. And, you know, just making sure you're careful with your words, because words can be quite triggering. You know, oh, you're sick again, you know, things of that nature is not the right thing to say with someone who has a chronic illness. So be mindful of your words, be compassionate. It's not going to be something that you will understand, or that you can basically say, let me try to walk in Desire's shoes or walk in Judith's shoes. But, you know, just be compassionate and just be there. Sometimes just being there, you don't have to say much, because again, you're not going to understand what they're going through. But just, you know, be there. In a nutshell.
Wow. I mean, these are wise words. Be there, be there, be there. And also watch your mouth if you are around somebody that is living with, you know, lupus. Be empathetic as well. Don't have sympathy. These are two very, very different things. Guys, it's been an amazing show. I know we started late, but, you know, nevertheless, I believe we've covered all the points, and, you know, I hope the show has educated you enough and, you know, possibly raised alarm bells if you have some of the symptoms that Professor discussed during the show. And also, if you know somebody, or if you've noticed your loved one or a colleague, or, you know, somebody around you that may have these symptoms, it's very important for you to get them to, you know, go and see a doctor and just jump on the journey. The worst that can happen is, you know, you don't have it and then your life can move on. But what if you do, but, you know, you've left it too late? What we've learned during this discussion is, you know, lupus, one of the first organs that it tends to attack is your kidney. And we all know you need your kidney to live. Lockdown is about to go. We need to chill, you know. So listen, it's very, very important for us to, you know, keep educating ourselves about these, you know, these issues. A lot of the times we think, oh, you know, I don't have it, so I don't need to know. But it's very, very important for us to have this knowledge, because it could save our lives, or perhaps our children, or a loved one around us. So Professor, thank you once again for joining us. But just before we leave, do you have any last words to share with us? Any shout outs for your loved ones, for your I don't know, your community, anything?
Oh, I just wanted everyone to know that May is Lupus Awareness Month. October is also International Lupus Awareness Month. Right. So, wear your purple and, help spread awareness, and make it a topic of conversation, because it may not affect you, but someone who has been going through symptoms after symptoms, and the doctors are not able to diagnose, because lupus is at times the last thing they think of. Right. So, if you're a person of African descent, and, you're constantly going through issues with anemia, low-grade fevers, fatigue, and joint pains, ask them, could it be lupus? So that they can test for it, because it's usually the last thing they think about. That's what happened in my case. It's like years of constant testing, and they forgot to test for lupus, and it was the last thing that they thought of.
Wow. Listen, it's very important to ask. The worst that can happen is you don't have it, and the best that can happen is they will find it very quickly, and get you on the right medication, and you can manage it from an early onset. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's about 2 p.m. in America right now.
Yes.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I believe I've taken up enough of your time, but we're so grateful for you, to you, for taking the time out to speak with us today. And hopefully we can get you back on the show when there's been a cure, or I know there are lots of topics that we can definitely invite you back on. So please stay tuned, because I will be asking you back on the show if that's okay with you. But from myself, everyone in the studio and the audience, we just want to say a big thank you, and we wish you well on your journey in thriving with lupus, and also just a big thank you for the work that you're doing around this disease, and we will be sharing your social media on our page, and hopefully you can get more people to join in on the journey in finding a cure and beating this ugly disease. So
yes, it's definitely ugly, but it loves to affect the pretty ones.
Exactly. Hey, this is why she is the queen. Okay. So thank you so much. And yes, thank you so much for joining the show once again. Guys, you have been tuned into the 3D show with myself, Desire. We've been talking about, living with lupus, its struggles, its breakthroughs, and also the hope that, we all have for the future in regards to this disease, and possibly finding a cure or finding better ways of dealing with its symptoms. It's been a wonderful show once again. I'm so grateful to my guest joining in all the way from America, Professor Nala. And, I hope this has, touched somebody out there, and has, raised alarms for you to go out there and possibly get checked, or I hope it has started a conversation, at least within our social circles. Yes, so it's a Friday. Lockdown is about to be fully lifted. Guys, I know I sound like a broken record, but trust me, I am too excited. So I will be telling you exactly where I will be from May 18th, because from May 17th, indoors and pubs and stuff are going to be open. So please, my DMs are open. Invite me out. I'm very, very available. I've got, don't worry, I can repeat all these clothes. It's fine. We just won't take pictures. But yeah, so do have a wonderful weekend. Whatever you do, Try and wear your mask if you can. Hand sanitize, hand sanitize, hand sanitize. And also do wash your hands whenever you get the chance. And please keep your distance as much as you can. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful evening. I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Good night and God bless.